All right, black-white fall control. Fall, in this case, refers to this card, Fall of the Thran. Destroy all lands. Each player returns 2 lands from their graveyard to the battlefield. So generally, this card has reasonable parity. You destroy all the lands in play, and then each player gets 4 lands back. And then this deck that we're playing today is designed to try to break that parity by exiling the opponent's graveyard after we destroy all of their lands. So we have Soul Guide Lantern here in our main deck, as well as an extra copy on our board that we can find with some Karns. And then we've got 4 copies of Phyrexian Scriptures here, which is a pseudo sweeper as well as a tool to exile the opponent's graveyard. So we're hoping to basically blow their lands up and then exile their bin. We've got a bunch of sweepers here to try and keep the board in check while we do that. So let's pop on into a few matches with this and see how it goes. This is definitely a join a historic constructed event deck, though. In my experience, these decks tend to be a little bit less competitive than the latter. So hopefully we'll have a better time here than playing against a little bit some of the more optimal decks. How do we actually end the game? I mean, we have four giants. Thinking we're playing Paul the Thran to win. Ain't that the real truth? Sweet memes are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Gonna get Nexus, yes sirree. Sounds good, Humbert. So if I play this on 4, on 6, it exiles their graveyard before I can play Fall. So we'll want to wait and play this on 5. Well, we're pretty unlikely to get another turn. Alright, I'm glad we put 8 discard spells on the board so we can pretend to have a shot. Got 8 sweepers, put in 8 discard spells. Run it. Yeah, matches where our board sweepers don't really have text, probably going to be difficult to impossible. If I had to venture a guess. American billionaires got $434 billion richer under the pandemic. If you aren't ready to eat the rich yet, you haven't been paying attention. Tax them into the ground. Tax them into the ground. Get that. Let's get that top marginal tax rate back up into that 70% range, huh? Maybe even go a little bit higher. I mean, if we can find a, what's it called? We can take all their lands away. Reclamation. Okie doke. We do unfortunately have another temple at tilt here. Yeah, we got 2 more turns here. I think I'm in for the birth too because I'm gonna need lands after we blow because we're only gonna get 4 of our 5 back here. This being a mana source that we get to keep in play through Fall of the Thran is also sweet. Shouldn't you have cast Scriptures? Why? Can you explain? So we'll grab these 2, and then we'll do this, and then we'll play this. Can't untap your lands if you don't have any. Ain't that the truth? And hey, their graveyard's gone, so that doesn't accomplish anything for them. Dovin's veto. That's rude. Historic needs Sinkhole.
Let's try this.
Yep. Play Giant, then blow their lands up is the plan. Although Teferi's at 4, so maybe that's not a good plan. Teferi's gonna kill the Giant here, or bounce the Giant here. The good news is they don't have anything going on. Like, that's fine. Historic needs Stone Rain. I actually think Goblin Rune Blaster is an appropriately power-leveled Stone Rain type effect than Historic.
I've got time.
Rune Blaster is a really reasonable card.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
This is the way we lose the game, lose the game, lose the game. This is the way we lose the game to Nexus of Fate. Should have kept the Soul Guide Lantern, chat. Should have kept the Soul Guide Lantern. I think I have to fall, right? If they take an extra turn this turn, I'm going to concede. We're incredibly unlikely to get another turn if they take a turn this turn. Pretty classic example of why a matchup like this is impossible for Archetype. I feel like almost everything went almost everything went right for us that game, and it just didn't matter. Good example of, like, it doesn't matter if we literally kill all their lands and set them back to ground zero if we're not applying pressure while doing it. You need disruption. You need a clock to go with your disruption. Ooh, that's an interesting thought. Is Phyrexian Scriptures better than Elspeth's Nightmare? Yeah, maybe not. I like that Elspeth's Nightmare has text in the non-creature matchups. Could see that being reasonable. Sweet. And speaking of creature matchups, looks like we found one. So hopefully our creature removal will get a chance to flex a little bit. Mean deck Cindervines. Who hurt you, opponent? What was their name? The previous opponent hurt our current opponent, something like that. There weren't any good instants to kill Winota with. Yep. Sure, let's go with that. The best response to that comment is if you click on the arrow next to their username, it gives you the option to block them. Man, Clothis messes us up too, huh? Hope they activate Clothis and then settle them. Yeah, that's a good hope, actually. They're at six devotion currently. It's not been a particularly meme friendly league, chat. It's not been a particularly meme friendly league. Hey, Zeckles, thanks for the 2/3 of a year. Welcome back. We perved up all the meme power on Zenith. Yeah, our cumulative meme variance is just like tapped out at this point. So really, it's the treasure hunt deck's fault. Exactly. Right. How many matches left with this deck? If we get thrashed again here, I'm gonna make a small change and load up for at least one more. I want to try. I think the Elspeth Nightmare is a good idea. And I don't really know that we need that, Nerdis. I don't know that it really solves problems that we have. As for what are problems that I have that we're trying to solve, I have no idea. We're trying to figure that out too. Currently 0-8 with Treasure Hunt and the Casual Play queue. Well, there's your problem. The Treasure Hunt deck is not a casual deck. The Treasure Hunt deck is an incredibly competitive deck. You gotta play it on the competitive ladder. The Treasure Flare deck is very consistent. I agree. I actually think the deck's relatively close to being actually competitive. All right, let's try and make one small change and see if we can get on the scoreboard here. I actually think Settle the Wreckage is a pretty god-awful sweeper. So I'm going to go down to one of these and go down to Scripture, and I'm going to add 4 Elspeth Nightmare here as another way to exile their graveyard, which sounds good. Now, I love my avatar. My avatar is lovely. Lovely. Just lovely. The mirror is pretty terrible, though. You're not wrong. How was the Mardu Reanimator? It was a lot of fun. Felt very reasonable. It's a genuinely good set. There is a chance I tag 2 favorites today with the meme deck and the Reanimator deck. Probably the blue-red Obosh deck if I had to venture a guess here. I think I lead on Mind Stone here, actually, so if I draw a 4-mana sweeper, I can play it next turn. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised more content creators don't put all their stuff on YouTube like I do Vine. It's a pretty low effort way to double dip. And also based on feedback I've gotten on my sub surveys, I'm pretty confident that one of the reasons why I have more Twitch subs than people like Croquis and Caleb consistently, even though they have more Twitch viewers than me, is because of my YouTube content. Just able to draw audience from more places. That's true. If you're someone like Caleb who streams with music, you actually can't just repost them to YouTube. Well, don't need that one. Isn't there a TOS controversy with Twitch content on YouTube? Nope. YouTube doesn't let you steal other people's music for your content there, whereas Twitch does. Twitch doesn't care if you steal people's music for your content. Well, I mean, does that. Yeah, it's not really a controversy though, Bips. It's just part of a contract. Yeah, it is technically against the Twitch partner agreement to upload your stuff to YouTube within the first 24 hours. But much like the fact that they don't enforce you can't steal people's music, they also don't enforce the fact that you have to wait 24 hours, so. As exemplified by me uploading lots of stuff to YouTube very quickly. Probably dead to a burn spell here. Content creators play music on their streams because playing music on your stream gives you a low effort way to fill dead time that you otherwise don't have to fill by talking or engaging. It's lifting other people's content to supplement your own. It's morally gray at best and outright stealing at worst, and that's before you consider the ramifications legally of it. I'm sure some of them just want to listen to music. If you have a brain in your head, it's possible to listen to music in your headphones without sending that music to your stream. My favorite is when people do when bigger streamers do the intellectually dishonest thing and they're like, "Well, I'm giving those bands exposure." And it's like, "Oh, do you want your Twitch subs to stop paying you money and to pay you an exposure, or do you want to get paid for the work that you're doing?" And there's also like there is a lot of royalty-free music out there, and content creators and music creators who are okay with getting paid in exposure will license their music in a way that allows them to get paid in exposure. They will license it in a way that's legal for you to stream their music. We just want Birth here because I need a white source. Yeah, and then that doesn't even get into like people that take money directly for music on stream. That's super, yeah. Whirly boy, thanks for the 2/3 of a year. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Okay, so if I do this, I could do this. And then I could do this, which gets me a plains, and then we can Elspeth Nightmare the Sailor here. Yeah, and a lot of it's like security through obscurity, right? Like a lot of the people who are even like mid-sized streamers, like big Magic streamers are really just like mid-sized streamers in the grand scheme of Twitch, right? So like at some point someone's going to decide it's profitable to sue people that are taking their music. Excuse me? Yeah, someone at some point is going to get made an example of, and then it'll actually get enforced. So if I do this, I get to stack these next turn so they don't get their lands back. So I turned off auto-ordered triggered abilities there so I can stack it so they're graveyard exiles before they return their lands. Yeah, someone will make it convenient to pay a nominal fee to stream it legally is exactly correct. Is it even worth it to destroy their lands? Yes. Look at that. Yes. What kind of question is that? Is it worth it to destroy their lands? Get out of here. Are you even a member of Twitch chat? Is it worth it to destroy their lands? Come on now. Elspeth's Nightmare was real sweet there, by the way. That was great. Mind Stone, also excellent. Sure. Hand needs another black source ideally, but reasonable otherwise. Why'd the land come into play tapped? I don't know. Judge. Replacement effects don't see each other as entering at the same time. Okay. I might be Idyllic Tutoring for an Elspeth's Nightmare next turn. Subbed again for the nasty land destruction exile that you had played. Thanks for the 2 months, Tezareth. Welcome back. Shatter's a lovely draw. I agree. Sagas are really elegant designs. Got Brazen Borrower here. Yep. It's fine. Their G2 staying small for a while, which is nice. Do I just jam Shatter next turn? Or do we try an Elspeth's Nightmare? I feel like I tried an Elspeth's Nightmare, because if that resolves, it will, it'll let us take a peek at their hand to force through something else later. And if this doesn't resolve, then the Sweeper's more likely to resolve afterwards. They also might just, like, let this happen and then play the Brazen Borrower. I fight so good. Thanks for the 3rd of the year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Are Magic and Raid the only games that I play? Yeah, these days pretty much. I have a half-finished playthrough of Pokemon Sword on the Switch, which I will actually probably get to finish now that we have a second Switch. My wife started playing Animal Crossing, and both my kids have been really into Minecraft, so I haven't really had a chance to play much. Dankzilla 420. Thank you for the quarter of a year. Yeah, I agree. It seems super sweet. Let's play this and exile a thing from their bin, so that way this goes back down to 1 power. You seen Minecraft Dungeons? I have not. Someone else mentioned that the other day, though. Yeah, Mythgard's reasonable. And I've talked about this on stream before, but a big part of, like, my selection of games that I play these days is in large part related to how much I can pause them and walk away. Like, with the kids home, with everything going on in the world, you know, even on stream, they come in on occasion, I take a second to help them with something. So, like, having a game like Pokemon or, like, Raid that I can, like, pause and set down at any point and, like, completely walk away from and come back to later is, like, really valuable as a parent. Not being constantly tethered to, like, a round timer clicking down. Because the kids take priority. Most important. Alright, so we're dead to a land next turn, unfortunately. Do you ever read much in Pokemon Go? I do, actually, that's a good one. Pokemon Go doesn't feel like a video game so much as like an outdoor activity. So I kind of, like, my brain forgets that I should count that when people ask. But yeah, I play Pokemon Go fairly frequently. In fact, I posted a screenshot the other night in the latest Android update. My phone can run 2 applications at once, so I, like, walk around the neighborhood some evenings, like, playing Raid and Pokemon Go simultaneously on my phone. I might have a problem. Scry before we draw. It is hard to get other people to raid with. Christy and I can do 3-star raids on our own, and once the kids' accounts, both my children have mine and Christy's old phones to play Pokemon Go in when we walk around together. So once they level up a bit more, hopefully the 4 of us can do 4-star raids. In fact, part of the reason why I ended up buying a 1+8 was because I wanted to give my old one to Declan, because Declan had been playing Pokemon Go on a 1+1 older than him, or was it a 1+2? But at any rate, it was a phone that was older than him, and it was real slow. So I got myself a treat so he could have something a little bit quicker. That's gotta burn battery. You know, it actually, like, I walk around for like an hour to 90 minutes sometime, and the battery holds up just fine. My phone's also new, though, so that certainly helps. We're Team Mystic. Legendary raids, we know, with 3 level 40 players. Yeah, Christy and I aren't level 40 yet either. I think we're like 36 to 37 or somewhere in there. Opponent's username is Ionize Basic Forest Lovestruck Beast. I've been juked, chat. I've been juked. You are a no good, dirty, filthy, rotten liar, opponent. Hey, good games, Doug. Good luck in the rest of your event. I've not do awful. I really don't play, so like all the games I talked about that aren't Magic, I don't really play that many games on PC. After I'm done like streaming and then prepping for my stream the following day, I usually don't like to sit behind my computer anymore. So things like Pokemon Go or Switch games or Raid that I can play on my phone or sit on the couch, or I tend to be things I tend to play more often. Way to step on my face, opponent. Way to step on my face. I appreciate Red Link and all the other folks that added the kids, by the way. We don't play constantly, so their inventories are full, so they easily won't open gifts every day. Maybe once or twice a week. Memes aside, is Raid a decent game to play on the side? Yes. I played an incredible amount of Raid before I took any of their money. I actually gave them some of my own money before I took any money of theirs to do a sponsored segment. In general, I am in a position of privilege where I can just turn down sponsorships of games that I don't genuinely like. In general, I don't accept sponsored segments for games or products that I don't think are worthwhile, or I don't use or play personally. We're just taking a Meteor Golem here. I feel like we're just taking a Meteor Golem. And these things seem super useful. Welcome back, Doof. If you get annoyed by a sales pop-up when you log in, Raid's definitely not for you. Definitely has a deals pop-up every time you log in. You tried Riot's card game. I've not. I'm not a huge fan of Riot as a company. This is the one Settle the Wreckage I left in my deck, by the way. I don't know, even well-done new card games have the problem of that they're like, even a well-done new card game doesn't have the same amount of depth as Magic's standard format for a year or more. Magic's standard format has 5 to 8 sets in it, and like when new card games release, their card pool is so shallow. And Mythgard, this was why I ended up stopping playing Mythgard, and this is why it's so hard to break into the market, I think, for these new companies, is because, like, you know, even if the core gameplay is great and the initial card pool is good, like, you know, one set of cards only goes so far. And like here, we're playing a lot of Historic on this stream. And before Historic, we played a lot of Modern. And like these deeper card pool formats, I personally think are some of the most interesting. And it's just difficult to impossible for a lot of these other games to survive to a point where they can do that. Correct, yeah, that too. And those other games, like, even if their core gameplay is good, when their standard gets dry, there's nothing else to go to, right? Magic's biggest strength is its history. It's that ability to be, Magic's not just standard, Magic's a rules engine that lets me play lots of different ways, and I get to pick and play how I want to play. That's what makes Magic one of the best games ever made, is that flexibility. And then it's been a while, so I'd like to ask this as a question instead of making a statement. Does Hearthstone actually support Wild at this point? Because Hearthstone's one of the ones that's lasted long enough to have a deep card pool, but they didn't really support their non-rotating format last time I played it. Has that changed? Wild exists, and that's it. Yeah, that was my experience. I played a bunch of Hearthstone. I think it was like the start of 2019 or maybe end of 2018. I'm gonna kill their lands before we die. That makes me feel happy. Most people, you know, just dust all their rotated cards. Ever played Hearthstone on stream? Not in recent memory. I dumped a bunch of money into Hearthstone to try and get into it, to try and diversify my content a little bit. I just didn't. The game as a whole was interesting and fine, but it just didn't keep me engaged like Magic keeps me engaged. Then we don't really have any sideboard cards here for aggro. We have a 7-card wish package and then 8 discard spells, so let's run it back. If we get dumpstered one more time here, we're gonna go ahead and roll along to some merfolk, I think, to wrap things up today. How has this been? Pretty much a disaster. Cards. Having a 6-mana card like Fall of the Thran that doesn't meaningfully impact the board's a tough sell in a format like Historic that's as aggressive as it is. And like playing a bunch of these slow, clunky sweepers as your interaction against these aggressive decks tends to not cut it in this format. Yeah, the biggest thing to me, not only does Magic have that deep card pool, but Magic just has a lot more deck building variety than games like Hearthstone do. The inherent design of Hearthstone's, your cards are locked to classes and there's no way to mix and match cards between classes, makes the number of different decks you can build in any Hearthstone format very shallow compared to Magic. Yeah, I don't have any desire to like try and poke at Hearthstone again. I've got more Magic content that I can get through at any given point, and dumping more money into Blizzard is not something I really want to do. I think adding ramp spells would help. Nah, probably not. Like, destroying their land sooner doesn't, like, means they're still gonna have lands left in their hand more than likely. Like, these kind of, and then past that, like, if you didn't watch this whole set, there's also been games where, like, we kind of got to do what we wanted, but then we didn't actually have a way to kill the opponents. Like, we had a game against Nexus of Fate where we, like, destroyed all of their lands and exiled their stuff, and then they rebuilt because we just didn't kill them after we did that. I'm not a big fan of Riot Games. There's actually been a bounty board post up for Legends of Runeterra that I've thought about clicking accept on and taking their money, but I just really don't want to promote their products. What it came down to at the end of the day. I'm just taking Birth here, try and build my lands up so that we can get to the Realm-Cloaked Giant to cast it. I don't know. Wizards is obviously run by a money-hungry company in a late-stage capitalistic society, but as far as, like, they fall on, like, decisions related to social issues, generally speaking, they tend to make the right ones, at least from my personal point of view. Yeah, I mean, if you're, no, regardless of where you live in the world, you should be worried about what Trump tries to do against big things, because just like laws that get passed by the EU impacted everyone with GDPR, like anything Trump tries to do could realistically impact people all over the world that use the internet. I expect any executive order that our orange executive fascist wants to try and sign into effect about Twitter will get tied up in courts for a long time, but, you know, I expect him to still try because he's a giant man-child, incapable of self-reflection. The doom is inevitable. Yeah, I like the opponent's build. Very similar to the Gruul deck that took third in the Hooglandia Open last weekend. So, we didn't win a match with this. I didn't, you know, if I'm being honest, that kind of went about at expectations. What about Eldest Reborn, Dawn of Hope, to Idyllic Tutor 4? Maybe playing, what's it called? The 4/4 card? What's the 5 mana enchantment? Sigil of the Empty Throne. Maybe you could play this. I would Google, if you're not familiar with Riot and what I'm talking about, not enjoying Riot as a company, I encourage you to Google Riot lawsuit and then make your own conclusions from there. All rocks, thanks to the 29 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, I mentioned this earlier in the stream when someone had asked about this card. I don't think this card's competitive in this format. I think this is a format that's about playing to the board and playing this type of effect in a format where Field of the Dead was top tier and very common. I think you could do something around this card and have it be very reasonable. I think in this format where people are getting on the board hard and fast like that last Gruul deck we played against, and those decks get to play through a sweeper or two very easily, I think like what this is trying to do is just too tough. Even with the addition of something like Mind Stone to accelerate into our cards a little bit sooner, we end up just being too slow and clunky to really be competitive with what this is trying to do. Let's go fishing. Thank you for the biddies, Ballboard Muse. I'm not sure I understand. Oh, are you just saying yay excited for Merfolk? I appreciate the support. Let me know what you'd like to do with the bits. We're gonna dive right into some Merfolk here next. I'm gonna take just a second and get everything flipped over. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.